Hi everyone, thanks for taking the time to watch the video. And the reason for this video is a lot of you are probably aware of how the COVID-19 is changing the world, especially in the commercial real estate. Um, so many clients has asked me, Edward, besides apartment, industrial, retail, hotel, what are other alternative that can sort of weather the storm, um, especially with the recession and high employment coming. So that's the reason that I would like to introduce another asset type, which is a senior housing in America. So first of all, like to understand why it's really driving the market that we want to talk about. So in the U.S., there are 10,000 people that turn into age of 65, meaning we have 10,000 baby boomers per day now in America. In America right now, we have 73 million baby boomer, and that number will only grow bigger as the medical improve. People get older, meaning the type of service they're going to need is definitely more. In addition to that, senior housing offer another diversification as it's a need-based service, which is driven by the demographic, not about unemployment. For example, these older people don't have job anyways, so with unemployment, it doesn't matter to them because they're employees, they're retired. The next is the living behavior between boomers, millennial, and Generation Z. I think with my grandparents, they have big family, everybody lived together. And my parents, now have their own family. So I think the generation gap and the behavior are changing. Younger people don't want to have kids, or the parents don't no longer want to live with the kids or don't want to bother the kids. So older people are becoming more independent, and so is the younger generation. They don't want to be rely on each other. So let's talk about senior housing versus other type of real estate. If we look at the average return, senior housing has outperformed all other asset type, whether it's apartment, hotel, industrial, office, or retail. And that return is also include 2008, 2009 through the subprime crisis. Senior housing also outperformed and still maintain a very healthy return. Part of the reason is it has a very high barrier to entry with operation intensive business because you are no longer purchasing a real estate asset. There's a business running. It's almost, if you look at, you're purchasing a hotel, but that serves the traveler, where you're purchasing a senior housing, but that serves the senior citizen. Now, there's a huge pending supply and demand imbalance as baby boomer age and require care. We all know that when people get older, I mean, ideally we want to be healthier, but that's not the case. As people get older, more and more health issue will pop up, and therefore the level of care that's going to be needed, um, it's even more important as people get older. So that leads to increasing popular asset class, and that's the reason why the popularity and the demographic is really driving the price appreciation, price stability for the senior housing asset. Now let's talk about different type of senior housing. I know people typically look at it very confusing. They kind of know it, but they don't know it all. So from the left to the right, so multifamily senior housing facility, it's more of a real estate. It's like you own an apartment building where you have people that live in there. So it's more of a real estate play. Now to the next level where it's age restricted, you could have a apartment with a minimum 55 years old or 65, 75. Now, not only you have a real estate, you have a community or senior citizens. Going to the next level, it's called the independent living. Independent living is these seniors, they live in a community, but the facility has a business that provide different type of services. For example, they typically provide 3 meals per day and 2 snacks. They also have a caretaker, a 24-hour on-site nurse, registered nurse. They also do housekeeping once a week. So it's another type of, I would say, security, or senior feel more secure. They feel more comfortable, when they know that there's someone on staff in the event if they fall, if they trip, something happened to them. Their kids, don't live close by. So it's it's a sense of a security that they feel comfortable. So that's why they live in the independent living. Assisted living is the next level of independent living, where these seniors, although they can still be independent, they need some sort of a medication being provided. So other than the daily care, the service provide ADL services. So different level of care. For example, they might need someone to shower for them. They might need someone to constantly check on them, see if they go, they've come down to eat lunch, how come they haven't eaten lunch yet, if they eat dinner yet. So you have someone to watch over them. And with additional service, of course, that's additional expense to the tenant. Now going to the next is memory care. Memory care are for senior citizens where they have Alzheimer or dementia. Typically, these seniors who live in memory care are more towards the end of their lifetime. So in addition to different level care of services, it's also require a more intensive care, especially when these seniors, they wander around when they have a dementia. So you constantly have to be watching them, just make sure that they're okay. They don't wander around, they don't open a door, go somewhere and get lost. So the next level is the nursing home skilled nursing. It provides very similar care of service like assisted living, memory care, but these nursing home skilled nursing are government sponsored by the Medicare or Medicaid. So in addition to the regular risk of senior housing, you also have the government risk because the government can change the policy, the profit margin can shrink overnight. In addition to that, people who live in nursing homes, skilled nursing, are not very well off. So that's why they need government's help. And that's been hitting really hard by the coronavirus. So next level is a transitional rehab. It's part of a senior, it's also considered a senior housing facility, but we can look at as a middle, I guess, a middle ground. For example, it's a place where between hospital and tenant's home. Let's say if a tenant, they fall, they need their hips replaced, they need a shoulder replaced, or they have a heart attack, a stroke. They go to the doctor, they perform the operation. After the hospital will send them to this transitional rehab. They typically stay 2 to 3 weeks, do the rehab to make sure they're okay. And then once everything looks good, the rehab center will release them and they can go back to their home. Again, that also has a risk of a government risk where the profit margin can change overnight. In addition to that, these facility has to be very close to the hospital because if you have a hospital with 500 beds, there's already more than 400 or 500 transitional rehab in the surrounding area. You obviously don't want to go there and build another one. Now, going to the risk and reward, of course, the lower the risk, the lower the reward, the lower the return. And these are the different types of senior housing. I hope everybody have a better and clear picture about it. So that includes today's video. And next time, we're going to be talking about the risk of senior housing. And I'll provide some real life examples so people can get to understand more about it. Thank you. Thanks everyone. And call me or email me, text me if you have any more